The Los Angeles Lakers have continued potential for activity this offseason, particularly with LeBron James on an expiring contract and sending less than enigmatic signals to the front office that he wants to see some significant roster movement ahead of next season. However, should the Lakers actually make another meaningful deal this summer, it's just as likely that James himself is on the move as it is that LA brings in another talented player via trade or free agency to join him and Luka Doncic. The Lakers have made no secret of their intentions to build around Doncic for the long term, which means keeping as much flexibility in the summers of 2026 and 2027 as possible. That strategy is in direct contradiction to what James wants as he enters his 23rd year in the NBA and his age 41 campaign in 2025 to 26. One-player analysts have tied to the Lakers in potential trades, many of which did not include James departing Southern California, is Miami Heat forward Andrew Wiggins. However, Dan Woik of The Athletic doused that notion with all kinds of cold water during his appearance on the Monday, July 14th edition of The Zach Lowe Show podcast via the Ringer Network. The Lakers have, I guess, sniffed around Wiggins, Lowe said. They're not interested in Andrew Wiggins, Woik responded. I think I can put that to bed. I'm pretty confident on that front. Andrew Wiggins proven NBA champion with Warriors in 2021 to 2022 season. Wiggins could make plenty of sense in LA alongside Doncic, at least in a vacuum. He averaged 18.0 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1.0 steals, and 0.8 blocks across 60 games played, 30.7 minutes per night, for the Golden State Warriors and Heat last season. Wiggins, who will play next year at the age of 30, also rediscovered his three-point shot, hitting 37.4% of his 5.8 attempts per contest. Wiggins was a key piece to the Warriors' championship run in 2021-22, providing key rebounding and perimeter defense down the stretch of the playoffs, particularly against the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. The issues, however, are twofold. The first, and less important of the two, is that Wiggins has 2 years remaining on his contract. That technically means that beyond costing the Lakers $28.2 million this season, which wouldn't be the issue, Wiggins would also be under contract for nearly $30.2 million in 2026 to 27 if he decided to exercise the player option on the final year of his $109 million contract. Even if he chose to do that, the Lakers would have a $30 million trade chip in the form of Wiggins, so that their team-building endeavors around Doncic wouldn't necessarily be hampered. In fact, having Wiggins' contract to trade might actually provide the team with more options, as free agency isn't the medium of elite player movement in the NBA that it used to be, with trades becoming the more frequent avenue in that regard over recent years. Heat asking too much for Andrew Wiggins for Lakers to make trade. The bigger issue for Los Angeles in terms of a Wiggins deal is what the Heat want back in return. I didn't understand those rumors. Lowe continued of the Lakers' reported interest in Wiggins. Like, they were suddenly giving up a lot of expletive for Andrew Wiggins. It's like, isn't Rui Hachimura just as good as Andrew Wiggins? Why am I adding a lot more to that? Anthony Chang of the Miami Herald reported on July 12th that the Heat remain high on Wiggins and aren't likely willing to part with him in the first place. During an interview at Summer League practice in Vegas, Miami head coach Eric Spoelstra says Andrew Wiggins is already back in South Florida and views him as an important piece of the Heat's rotation next season. Chang wrote reported via X. The expectation is the Heat will move forward with Andrew Wiggins on its roster for the start of next season. The Heat wants to see what this mix will look like. The Golden State Warriors were the favorites to sign free agent center Al Horford this offseason until 3 teams emerged to crowd them. According to Anscape's Mark Spears, the Warriors' Western Conference rivals Los Angeles Lakers and 2 teams from the Eastern Conference have expressed interest in the 39-year-old center. Golden State, obviously, expected him to sign last week. He didn't, Spears said on ESPN's NBA Today on July 14th. Lakers, Milwaukee, and Atlanta, I believe, are also interested in a nearly 40-year-old guy who also has retirement on the table. He's still considering retiring. He's not in any hurry. He's got a 6th kid coming on the way. He lives in Atlanta and Boston in the offseason. But I'm hearing that whether it's Golden State and to a lesser extent the Lakers, being away from the family that far isn't going to be in that decision. Horford, who earned $9.5 million last season, averaged 9.0 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists, while making nearly 2 three-pointers per game on 36.3% shooting from beyond the arc. Warriors want to add stretch center. The Warriors have been looking for a stretch center even before losing Kevin Looney to the New Orleans Pelicans in free agency. Golden State General Manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. made that clear during a recent interview. I think we learned a lot about the team this past year, especially since we've added Jimmy Butler. Dunleavy told ESPN's Katie George during halftime of the Warriors' NBA Summer League opener in Las Vegas on July 11th. We feel like we have a group going forward that's going to be pretty good. What do we need to add? I think from that standpoint, we want to look to the front court to add some shooting, in the backcourt some defense. Offensively, guys that can shoot, pass, and dribble. There's tons of needs, but I think we've zeroed in on some areas that we can address. As the summer unfolds, we'll continue to try and do that. Horford has been playing that stretch role for the Boston Celtics for the past 4 seasons, winning 1 championship in 2024. Last season, Coach Steve Kerr leaned on then-rookie Quinton Post in the role. With Looney gone, the Warriors need a veteran big man to mentor Post, while also helping them in their win-now window and easing the burden of Draymond Green. Kings offer rejected. The Warriors have yet to make a move in free agency pending the resolution of their restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga's situation. They recently rejected a trade offer from the Sacramento Kings for Kuminga, Anthony Slater of The Athletic reports. They've drawn inbound calls in recent days, most notably from the Sacramento Kings, who floated an offer of Devin Carter, Dario Saric, and 2 second-round picks, league sources said. The Warriors have so far balked at what they felt was a buy low attempt, league sources said, Slater wrote. Slater added that the Warriors are looking for a promising young player plus a first-round pick in a sign-and-trade scenario for the 22-year-old athletic forward. Ever since the trade that sent Luka Doncic to LA, the Dallas Mavericks and Los Angeles Lakers have remained 2 of the NBA's most talked-about teams. Since then, Dallas has wasted no time transforming its roster into a true contender, pairing Anthony Davis with Kyrie Irving and number 1 overall pick Cooper Flagg. On the other hand, the Lakers' biggest storyline this summer has centered around LeBron James and whether he'll remain in Los Angeles beyond next season. Rumors about James' future have only grown louder since his agent, Rich Paul, made it clear to ESPN that the 4-time MVP still wants to compete for championships in the final stretch of his career. That sparked speculation linking him to several teams that could maximize his title window, with Dallas emerging as a particularly intriguing fit. On Tuesday, that narrative picked up even more steam when Bovada Sportsbook released updated odds naming the Mavericks as the current favorites to land James if he leaves LA, with Dallas now sitting at plus 125. The Miami Heat, plus 500, and Cleveland Cavaliers, plus 550, follow as the next likeliest destinations. The Golden State Warriors and New York Knicks were also listed as more distant possibilities. This update comes just days after the latest coaching update in Dallas. Last week, NBA insider Mark Stein revealed that Phil Handy, a highly respected former Lakers assistant coach, has agreed to join Jason Kidd's staff in Dallas, alongside Popeye Jones. Both Kidd and Handy were on the Lakers bench when they won the 2020 championship, and are 2 people that know a thing or 2 about working with James. More so, if James were to join the Mavericks, he'd not only link up again with trusted voices on the sidelines but also reunite with Irving and Davis, 2 stars with whom he's shared iconic championship runs in 2016 and 2020, respectively. It goes without saying that the pieces are lining up for Dallas to make an all-in push for a championship next season, and for James to play alongside a core that's ready to win now.